We are live on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Some Canadian tech talk.
It's a Tuesday. Should I play the thing, Jimmy?
Oh, we should talk. I think we need to play.
It's been too long, right? And full cheese mode version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, full cheese mode version. Welcome to Tech Talk on a Tuesday, where Corey and Jimmy talk to smart people about tech that is way above their head, but intensely informative, super fun. Sooner or later, somebody's going to make an inappropriate joke. We're definitely going to give away a bunch of NFTs. And quite frankly, we're just going to learn a whole ton. If you have any ideas about who we should have on Tech Talk on a Tuesday, please let us know by adding us in the comments or just finding us, just stalk us down. It's fine. Just talk to us. Tech Talk on a Tuesday. Yep. The cheesiest. All right. So how do I say your name? Micah?
Yeah, Micah. Yep.
I'm really excited about that. I hate saying people's names wrong. Micah, we've been hearing through the grapevine. We talked to Anders about it. Do we call it Cait or CIAT? How do we want to Cait?
Yeah, just go with Cait. It's
all right.
A lot easier. For all of us, probably.
Right? Yeah. I'm super stoked to have you on. I think this is the one of the kinds of projects that I've had a lot of conversations about, like, when are these things going to start popping up, right? Like that, because it is sort of begging to happen. So, if you can, tell us a little bit about your project in a minute. But for now, like, tell us everything we need to know about Micah. Start at the beginning.
Yeah. So I'm a Canadian, and I like crypto. And so I was trying to start into something last year. We were originally starting over on Fuse, which is an Ethereum sidechain, and had some issues. Couldn't get bridged off onto the mainnet. So we were like, okay, where are we going to go next? And I originally started making a few NFTs on Atomic Hub just for fun to give away to like people I knew. And I was like, this is pretty cool. And we kind of took our ideas that we were starting to work on Fuse, moved them over to Wax, and it kind of just exploded. We started bringing new DeFi stuff over relatively early. I think our first airdrops were early April, and then from there it's just kind of been it's been crazy the last few weeks. So just trying to keep up with everything is also another fun task. So
yeah, we were like, hello. Oh, my dogs apparently need some attention. So yeah, like how did the whole project get started? Like, what was the impetus of it?
So I was noticing that there's a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, a lot of creatives that struggle with financial or whatever, right? And I was like, well, there's this new emerging technology that's going to change how business is done, I think, in the future, where like a lot of things will be chained and purchasable through different technologies related to NFTs and crypto. So I was like, well, let's try to get some artists and creators in early so that they get their fair share and they can actually do this full time. And so it was originally just like, hey, let's get a small group of people together and let's just help everybody grow together collectively. And that's kind of just turned into this hurricane, I would call it at this point, where we just keep on gathering and trying to bring more people in and just try to make everybody's Wax experience the best it possibly can be. So,
right. So, okay. Just give us a basic rundown. How does Cait work? How is it starting?
Yeah. So basically how it works is I originally invested like 450 Canadian dollars into Atomic Hub. And the goal was to just go from there and return the profits that we make to our community. That was like the most basic idea. And then it was like, okay, well, now we can bring in other artists. We can then sell some of their work. They can get paid. And it just kind of grew into like this conglomeration of, we're doing the speculating on new projects. We're doing all this from our profits and then returning those profits back to the token holders as a way to kind of grow the community. And we're also doing that by bringing in all of our DeFi protocols for the first time on Wax. So we have our LP rewards through Alcor. We also have our airdrops, our faucets, and we'll have token staking coming probably in the next week or two. So that'll be big, I think, for us. And then the other idea is basically we just want to bring these to other project tokens as well. So in other projects, so kind of just wanting to bring everybody into the mix as much as we possibly can here. It's we're developing these smart contracts and others for the community, and we want to make them available to basically as many projects as that can use them, and just to kind of take Wax and our tokens on the blockchain to like that next level. And I think and that's it's taken a little bit of time. There's always all kinds of like things you have to test and fix. And so like I was originally thinking staking was going to come out token staking was going to be out last week, but we need another week or two to figure out all the ins and outs, because we don't want to have to be changing it every week or whatever if something goes wrong, right? So
yeah.
I mean, is it just me, or does it seem like everyone on Wax has like a similar story in that, like, oh yeah, we wanted to do this 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we're going to do it this week instead, as opposed to like Ethereum, where like we wanted to do this last year, but we're going to do it.
But instead, we're going to do it 2027.
Yeah.
So, but I like the idea. Like, I think it's interesting that you came up with this idea of like essentially artists funding artists over on Ethereum. That makes a lot more sense. Like, that makes more sense. Like, I didn't realize that you guys started over there, so that makes a lot more sense to me than like coming up with the idea in Wax, because I'm sure it's a great idea to come up with in Wax, but it makes a lot more sense over there to bring that about. Like, because I mean, so yeah, like. Did you do it because of friends, or did you do it because that was something that you guys struggled with? Like, because I think we talk about this sometimes, but like there's times where it will cost like hundreds of dollars or potentially thousands of dollars for artists to mint their work over on Ethereum, right? And like it can be really really difficult and daunting, right? Especially if you're kind of like a newer type of artist. So
yeah, so I think that you're 100% right. That's why I think it's even more important to bring more people to Wax, because you look at the two products side by side and it's like there's really no comparison on the creator side. Like you other than obviously like, you're going to have potentially bigger profits on Ethereum, but there's also a much larger risk if you're new and just trying to get started out. Whereas on Wax, you can build up from, you put $5 in, you can get somewhere, right? Like, I think that's something that I find really amazing about Wax, is it just has that open community feel more than Ethereum, because I think Ethereum has that kind of, I don't want to say elitist, but kind of has like a little bit of a, it does have a little bit of that feel, right? Like, if you don't have $1,000 to spend on an NFT or $500, what are you doing, right? So, and I think that Wax, with all these new games, all these new projects, are finally showing like some of the possibilities that are coming down the road. And I think, give it another year or two and who knows where we'll be, right? Like, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to keep taking off, and stuff like what you guys are doing with like Yoshi and all that. This is just like, I feel like it's all just kind of taking off here in the last like month or two for a lot of these projects.
Agreed.
And I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure. So the like, let's say you're like a small artist group or whatever. Like, are you, so when you guys say you're doing the speculating, you're basically like getting into like some of the mining assets or planning on flipping them, and the rewards get basically put into the Cait ecosystem.
Yeah. So here's an example. So we bought Alien Worlds land a few weeks ago. And so we got a deal from one of our community members. So we were like, sweet, this is great. So we picked up the land, and we have those proceeds going into the what's it called? It goes into our reserve account that backs our tokens, right?
Okay.
That was what was happening before we reached max mint yesterday or the day before. So we've minted our final token. So there's no more Cait to be minted. Okay. So now what happens is that all of our profits that come in basically gets returned to the community via buybacks of the token off the market. So like this morning, we bought back about 500,000 Cait. So like about 25,000 wax went back into the market, and we have that back into our account, and that's going to be distributed back to our team now that we've minted full. So basically our first rounds of buybacks goes to our team for doing all their hard work. And then after that, we'll just keep on returning it back to the community, or we'll be doing other things with our excess, because we don't want to pump it too hard, because obviously then there could be some issues.
Yeah, no, that's super smart. That's super smart. Okay, so yeah, I love the Alien Worlds thing, because that's like a gift that's just going to keep on giving, right?
Yeah.
And I think that to me is like the understated, very sort of loosely understood thing about a lot of the projects that are out there, right? Like we're, still in the process of doing this mining rig sale. People are buying into pools. Some people, like a lot of people, are really, really used to Alien Worlds, and where like you just have a number, or our planet, and that it's going to just pump out that amount of Aether. So you don't like, there's that misunderstanding that, you're basically buying into a pool that we can dynamically set the size of, right? It's like incentivizing LP pools on liquidity pools on Binance or Uniswap or whatever. But that participation rate is really, really important. People are grokking that. And actually, Nick and NCKS, whatever the fuck his name is on Twitter, that super smart motherfucker, actually was digging around our website and figured it out. And we have been telling everyone this, but he's like, no, each one of these things actually have their own pools. And everyone was like, oh, they still don't get it, but they will soon. But
that's really cool.
So it's what our planet had to do, right? Yeah. So we're just starting in that range, right? And we're copying the sort of user experience from Uniswap and PancakeSwap and SushiSwap, as far as getting into these pools. And, our main thing is like, clearly it works. They locked up $1 trillion worth of value, right? It's a big deal. But I think where it gets interesting to me is these things will exist ad nauseum, right? Yeah. Especially for, Upliftium, we very purposefully made no cap whatsoever, right? Like it's infinite. It's going to be, and our planet is effectively infinite as well, with trillions or whatever, right? But these things will be, at the very least, super interesting 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, as we start to make these situations, and I mean, I'm sure, like, and the same thing is true with the, your one Alien Worlds thing, right? And that's assuming that's the only thing you guys ever did, which, of course, it's, I think a small percentage of what you guys are doing now already, and what you will do, like 5-10 years from now. That Cait token, by the way, I bought some full disclosure. When Anders apes into something, I'm like, I'm going to ape small. I couldn't do anywhere near as much as he freaking did. Jesus, he freaking went in hard, and he's smart to have done it. But yeah, I mean, like we're sitting on these things now where we're creating revenue streams, and we don't know what the price is going to be. And my whole take on that is, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter, right? Like it really, really doesn't matter. Is that you can buy effectively a fraction of a rental property for $1, right? Yeah. With some of these things that are just going to go on forever. So speak to that, and then I have a question about small projects, or like what your sort of process is for bringing other projects into the fold.
Sure. So like, okay, so here's another example. So like with your guys' miner rig sale, we bought 5 of the jumbo packs, right? And that's just going to go into that goes into our account. It's passive, right? So we just click on that button whenever I log in, and when at some point when we're able to exchange that or do other things, that will then turn into profit back into our Cait pool, which will then increase the overall value of the token, right? Because we'll be able to push that up once that starts paying itself back off. So we've got that for our planet. We've got that for Metal War Game. We're doing that in Alien Worlds. We've got that in Uplift now. We've got, I think, six plots as well. So like we're just trying to get that. We're trying to diversify at this point and just trying to get into as many different of these new and upcoming projects as we possibly can, and we're trying to get into things early as well. So I think that's another thing. It's kind of like let us take the risk so you don't have to. Is kind of some of the ethos, and it's also like not everybody has 10,000 wax to go buy a bunch of stuff, but if they can get some of that benefit by holding our tokens,
right,
then that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it DeFi for everyone. Like we're trying to open this up to everyone.
Right. I mean, this is fractionalized ownership of a basket of NFTs on wax.
Yeah,
like,
basically. Yeah.
Shut the hell up. That's smart. Like that. It's good, right? I know, like Sammy Snake has been, that community's been playing around with this kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited to see it because somebody could come in and buy one Cait.
Yep.
Like one.
Yep.
And start building and accruing some benefit from that and bootstrapping. Like at the Uplift, we talk about this all the time, right? And like the land was pretty expensive. The packs, were a little bit easier, and we're basically like working our way down the chain to create a seamless on-ramp so that even someone with no money and a phone is eventually going to be able to go to our 2D game and start to, actively earning a little bit of Upliftium with like a 2D game that we're creating or whatever. But like to create that on-ramp so that literally anyone anywhere with access to the internet is going to be able to get into our ecosystem and start bootstrapping up. And I really feel like this, Cait project is doing that for the entire ecosystem. But then even like all the projects that are around, like Jimmy and I do this for a living, like on top of everything else we're doing, right? Like we talk to everybody all the time. And like, I've never tried Nova Rally. I hear it's goddamn awesome. And I have no idea, right? Like there's just no time. So somebody else that wants to come and have exposure to like a really well-rounded, kind of like wax NFTs as an asset class can now look at Cait as a potential vehicle to do that. And
the other thing is that kind of sets us apart from almost, I don't want to say every token, but pretty much every token, is that we are actually backed to wax. Like we are pegged to wax. So we have that amount. So let me explain it a little better. Sorry.
Yeah.
So at full mint, the 25 million Cait tokens, those were backed with the reserve account of the equivalent of 1 million wax. So, and we also have the ability we have smart contracts that allow at any time for somebody to cash out by exchanging back to that wax reserve if they decide to.
Right.
So the plan is to always keep that in reserve.
Yeah.
And I guess if you ever decide to burn tokens and that value goes up, if you ever decide to add tokens and buy more, you can use wax to increase the pool and increase the token supply of Cait as well. That's really kind of good for a DeFi project. And I don't think that I have heard of very many DeFi projects that have done that. And this could potentially be problematic for them down the road. I think having that.
Tunnels, that's awesome. I love a good rage quit mechanism.
Yeah, no,
and you're I think you're letting people who want to rage quit for whatever, because eventually somebody's going to misunderstand something, or you guys might genuinely mess up.
Yeah.
Which and in this space, I love our community because they're kind of used to this, because we slip up all the time and then do our best to jujitsu that and do a win, which we've been pretty successful with. But we're throwing shit against the wall at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
Everyone in this space is. Anyone that tells you they have it all figured out is full of shit, or they're not trying hard enough. Right. Yeah. My humble,
there's just way too much going on to know everything. Right.
Right. So yeah, it's like that move you're making to Tuttle's point. Like you basically opened the back door and you said, if you guys want to go out, not only is the back door open, but there's a slide and there's you could pick up a fucking Pepsi on the way out. Have a good day. I like it. I don't know why I went with Pepsi and not Coke. The mysteries never cease.
Well, and see, when you said the onboarding of new people, one of my favorite side projects that's going in with this is Dust. is because if you've got a dust enabled chat, you can chat for free. You can earn some dust. We have our 4 faucets online that you can claim from every day. None of these cost you any CPU or wax.
Yeah.
So like you can claim every day. You can start chatting, getting some dust. We have a dust Cait LP pool, so then you can start putting that in and yield farming more Cait tokens from that little bit that you earn every day. So if you just start stacking it up, you can literally get in here without spending a single penny. And the more tokens that we bring on to do faucets, the more things like that, the easier that on-ramp for brand new people that don't have 1,000 wax to put into their CPU to start mining, hyper mining on alien worlds or something like that. And I think you guys have another great place here too, because, Minecraft's super popular. Once we get full launch, we won't need, there'll be ways for people to just come in and play in the game. And that's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
None of it's ever fast enough. Believe
I
us.
know.
Yeah. I know you guys are going through the same thing. Yeah. It's just really cool. Okay. So onboarding for new projects, do you guys have a protocol for that? Are you focused on artists or on sort of revenue generating kind of things? Like what's the best kind of project to come chat with Cait and see if they can get into your awesome sort of mega pool?
So I would say somebody who is genuinely trying to make the community better is definitely the first part. Like, we don't really care if you're making a ton of money off the beginning. We just want you to be a good person. You want to be able to have like good conversations with community members and just be helpful. And I think so our most recent addition is the Taco app. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's a new wax wallet that you can basically use Alcor Swap on your phone, like in app, and then you can transfer to different wallets. You can build like a friends list on there. You can see your total token balance. It's actually super cool.
It sounds good.
And they have
what is it called?
Taco. Yep.
Is there a website for it? Or?
Yeah, let me find it real quick. What's the actual website?
I love that they went with Taco. Nerds.
Yeah, it's a Taco token. Let's see. What is the website here? It is tacocrypto.io.
Tacocrypto.io.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're available on Google Play and Apple Test Flight right now. So
alrighty.
Everybody should be able to get it. And they have a free claim as well on there. You can get their Taco token, and they have a cool way of doing it. So basically, whenever somebody swaps on their app, they take I think it's like 0.3%. That mints new Taco tokens that can be distributed to claimers every hour, and they'll be doing other sorts of fun events in app to kind of incentivize people to be swapping on the app. So I think it'll be really cool. And
this is tight. This is really cool, man.
Yeah, so we're working with them now, and we'll be trying to get. We're just trying to find like things like this, right? Like things that are like, okay, that's cool. How can we make this more popular? How can we get this? How can we get people using this? Because people are making tools all the time, like Nick's Alien Worlds and Our Planet tools, amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
These kind of things are like, okay, we want to get this stuff, elevated as much as possible. So like when you make something cool and people don't know about it, that's when we want to talk to you early, right? Because we want to get that stuff out. We want to help. We want to promote you. We want to get you to be successful. And like we've set up Cait as a certified nonprofit here in Canada. So like everything that we get has to go back into the community. So like if we get a great deal with something, or we end up doing crazy good on like Alien Worlds, like we have, like all that goes back to the community. So it's just motivational to like try to not only like make something cool for everybody, but also like improve people's lives in like a materially significant way.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that because I noticed that was on your website, and I think that's really cool. Like, did you have the idea to set it up as a Did you have the idea to set that up like before you created the project or after you created? So you had always wanted to do something like that, like nonprofit type of.
Yeah, it was ideally supposed to be a co-op, but the co-op legislation here is a lot more strict than nonprofit legislation, surprisingly. So we ended up going with a nonprofit registration instead. But we effectively operate as a community co-op.
I mean, that's really cool that like that actually never dawned on me that you could turn essentially an internet business or a blockchain business into that type of scenario, right? Like you see it a lot of times with small communities, especially in Canada or like the north, the northern small town parts and stuff like that. But like, I never even thought about that on a global scale. That's a little bit of a game changer. So well done on that, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, we want to. My thing is, I want to change how people can see work and how people can see what they're doing with their life. And by providing education and these opportunities and just fun community and, real opportunities for people, whether that's through us or if it's through you guys or through anybody else really on this chain, we want to make sure that those opportunities are open to as many people as we possibly can, because that's just... It feels better when there's more winners and less losers. So that's where I'm at. And I kind of take everything on it at that perspective. Is like, we want to make more winners.
Preach.
Well, and I mean, the thing is most of the people out there in the world, they work crap jobs that they don't really like, that they don't really appreciate, right? And for the first time in history, we actually have this ability to not only like bank ourselves, right? But like create our own collective banks, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's really interesting. Like a lot of DeFi projects do things a little bit differently than you guys, or I guess you guys do things a little bit differently than a lot of DeFi projects, right? Like there aren't that many that are backed, number one. And number two, I don't think that there are that many that like actually are full on collectives, right? And so the ability to be able to, as Corey said, invest in a pool of tokens on Wax, right? Like this is more actually traditional finance than it is blockchain at present, right? Like there aren't very many pools out there. I think like Box, maybe you could consider them one, DeFi Box, right? Yeah. But like a lot of these other DeFi tokens, they're not necessarily in that pool where they let people like take over their portfolios and invest in that. This is more like a traditional type of finance thing, right? Like where you would hire somebody to look at your things, or put funds into a fund that already exists, right? So I like that decentralized kind of aspect of it, whereby you can just say, okay, these people are going to do this, and we've already seen that they've done this, and they're invested in this. So if we have these tokens, and like Corey said as well, if you guys go into something that people don't like, then there is a backdoor there that will serve you a Pepsi or 7-Up on the way out. I just figured I'd add the 7-Up there.
Thank you. Hey, I was 7-Up is inherently better than the bullet thing. So like that's super smart. Yeah, TC's trying to figure out, like, he's doing numbers already. Like, oh shit, now I got to whale into something else.
No, so yeah, like I think it's just a good opportunity for like new ideas in this space, right? Like, we can copy things all day long from other chains that have been successful, and we've done that with the faucets and the airdrops. But like, there's also other things where it's like, what can you do that's unique to Wax? And so we have some ideas, nothing that has been officially announced yet, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But like, I think that we have some possibilities here where, like, because of the existence of the NFTs and the NFT market alongside of the token market, there's more opportunities than on, say, a chain like BSC right now, where like it's 98% tokens, right? You're not really like, yeah, there's some NFT stuff on there, or you go onto like some of the other chains where it's like, yeah, the coin matters, but then the NFTs are just way more important, right? I think on Wax you have like a very delicate balance of like, they both drive each other. And so trying to find a good balance there is one of the things that I think I think all of us as a whole are going to end up being a part of, whether we want to or not, in the relatively near future, just because of how quickly Wax has been growing, right? So I think that's, and I think like, you know, once everything goes fully live with you guys, it's like, I don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean? Do you have like, you know, we've been working with Dan from Immersus too. And so it's like, you know, these are the kind of things where it's like, you know, what happens when this goes fully live, right? Like, how many people is this going to bring in? Is it 10,000? Is it 1 million? Like, what does that mean? Like, we don't know yet. And so that's where it's like, anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen with the price of Wax or any specific collection at this point in time, I'm just like, you know what? We're doing our best. We're going to take a bet more on the, I think for us, it's more we're taking the bet on the people behind the projects than the actual.
I mean, I think
like,
that's
NFT itself, right?
That's probably smart, right? I mean, that's how I would do it, because we don't. I think like we can make some really fun guesses about what's going to work.
Yeah.
But we don't really know, right? But if you find people that are going to constantly iterate until they find what works, that's a much more sure bet. And still not 100% nothing is, but like that, you know, it's a pretty good thing. Yeah, Mike, I think about this all the time. Like 10,000, you know, coming into the uplift space like this year, I think is like a fairly healthy target, I think, right? But for next year, like that's like we're just ramping up how we want to market to no coiners.
Yeah.
Because we have a strict rule. We're not doing it this year, right? Because like it's a bull market. Why go get no coiners right now? There's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But getting the tools together so that we can actually do everything with dollars as the on-ramp. Legend can already do that. Legend, of course, is our parent company. Like that's like that's really early on our list of to-dos for us to be able to do. You know, that getting to that point where there's 100,000 people in our ecosystem is like not crazy. And it's not just us, right? Like they're everybody in Wax. To me, like thinking about tokenomics, right? If you have humans and energy and attention and creativity and projects piling into a token, its price has only one direction to really go over time, right?
Yeah.
Where it's going to be tomorrow, no clue. Anyone who tells us they did is they're full of shit, right? We have no idea, right? But like it boggles the mind that it just has really only one direction that it can go, as long as we're constantly seeing this influx of talent, of human beings, of people, of energy, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that when you have all of these possibilities and everything that's just going on, I think it's just a lot of excitement mixed with hopefulness, mixed with like, you know, kind of like a little bit of anxiety, and you're just kind of like, let's go, let's make this happen. And so it's one of those things where, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, it's just like getting it all down, trying to get everything looking pretty and making sure everything's working perfectly. And then, you know, you put something up and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I misspelled that. And then
dude, well, you know, Uplift is named because I mistyped it.
That's hilarious.
Right? Londom. The Londom is the same way. Dennis like screwed up. It was supposed to be Random Land and he called it Londom Land. We've got posters up for that. We created a whole world around that. We're just leading into it. I mean, our whole rule, like, you know, Google's whole, you know, move fast and break shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that like we literally, that's a thing. If we're not breaking things consistently, we start joking that we're not moving fast enough. And then we kind of just start moving faster. Yeah. Right. So you can always fix things. But yeah, I mean, especially in this space, right? If you're not moving as fast as possible, you know, other people will get there first, you know, and that isn't even necessarily like a deal breaker in any way, shape, or form. Just keep iterating and keep moving, right?
Yeah.
But it just, you know, make hay while the sun shines, and the sun is freaking shining.
Yeah, definitely. And we just need to keep running, I guess, is the best way to keep
right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but every 10 or 15 days, don't tell anyone this, I'll just find myself on my living room floor, just like, I'm just gonna take a little nap. I'm fine. And, you know, drink a half bottle of wine and get back to work.
Yeah.
it's not like traditional, like, traditional business where you can, like, protect your idea, where you can keep it all internal, where you can, like, prevent other people from knowing, right? Like
you can't.
This is a decentralized world with open source contracts that, like, have really freaking smart people that can go digging in the back rooms and find things and build things that, like, you're already planning, right? So I think that's
really, like, and I've said this a million times, and I firmly believe it. Ideas are bullshit. Ideas are easy. Everyone has them. The difference between all the people I heard talking about NFT DeFi stuff and Cait is Cait went and got shit done.
Yeah.
Right. And the same for us. Like I told many people about the idea for the uplift over the year before we created it, and nobody saw it until I was talking to Blue about it. And he's like, "Fuck it, let's do it," because that's just the way he is.
Yeah. No, I think that, like, but I think for us, it's like, we want to see these other NFT-fi stuff succeed too, because that makes everything else better, right? Like, I think one of the recent issues that people have seen with our planet is like, I'm not worried. I'm like, people are like, oh no, price is down on Aether. I'm like, guys, were you here when it was like 18,000 to 1 or something like that?
Right.
Like guys, it's up to 2,300 still. Like, it's not that crazy. Like, everybody's selling off, and I'm like,
it's going to be pumping that out. Hold on, let me check my watch.
Forever. Exactly.
It's really your ROI at any point on our planet, and really on any of these, as long as we create a marketplace that has, any buying power at all, for any demand side at all, right? It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And then when you factor that against how long it takes to build ROI on something like a house or like a business, sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, just use your brains. But people in crypto are so used to, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I wailed in hard on our planet when everyone was laughing at us for doing it. Right. I bought like 1,000 Alien Worlds NFTs, and like even half the people on my team were like, "You fucking idiot." And then, and I just used all that to wail into everything else. And but like the speed that took off, people just like, it's amazing how quick the monkey mind, and I'm guilty of this too sometimes, just gets used to that. Right. And then it goes down, and you're like, "Oh, it went down." You're like, "Yeah, but zoom out a little bit."
Yeah, you remember when rigs were like the cheapest rigs were like 20 wax?
Yeah,
dude, I bought in like I bought like 100 of them my first week on wax, and that was kind of our starting point, right?
Dude,
like we went from so here's the story. Okay, here's the actual numbers behind wax as of like 3 days ago. So behind Cait as of like 3 days ago. So we originally started with 435 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
Right? We have minted $122,000 of Cait tokens on market cap. Plus, we're holding nearly 1 million wax worth of NFTs in reserves, along with about 300,000 liquid.
And it's been 3-4 months?
3.5 months, yeah. So like I don't know where this is. Like, people keep on asking me, like, when did you expect this to like reach full mint? I'm like, 2023. Like,
did you seriously think that?
Yeah.
And
no,
then
I was like,
didn't he buy like 2 million or something?
Yeah. And I'm like,
I love that guy.
I'm like, and then it was just kind of like, we were at 30% mint on June 15th.
Yeah. Again, like, not surprised.
Yeah.
Right. You guys are onto, I think not only a good idea, but an important one. Right. And people clued into that.
Like, long-term goal is basically, we want to be educational pancake swap. We want to be able to like bring everything together, put it all together. You want to have, and then like, that's just like the first tier, right? Like, you have all this other stuff. You have lending, you have betting, you have all these other like different DeFi things that you can do down the road that are kind of determinant on having that base system. But if we don't have that base system on the chain yet, then there's no incentive to go to that next step. So we have to get that baseline first, and then we can go, hey, we can add new liquidity pools now. We can do some like dual token LP rewards if we want. Like, these are things that we're working towards, and hopefully.
Yeah, those LP token rewards. Tuttle and I are messing around with something on Binance that is basically just like an educational platform for DeFi and DeFi pools and staking LP and doing all this crazy stuff. And the deeper down that rabbit hole I've gone over the last week, the more excited I am about what you guys are doing. And even with whether it's Alcor or whether somebody forks Pancake Swap over to Wax, Wink, or whatever, right? Like, dude, there's gonna be just like an infinite number of ways that we can incentivize people to lock up token supply in creative ways, right? And like that's going to end up being true for every project that gets tokenized in any way. And Tuttle, has been talking about putting NFTs as the opposite side of a DeFi pool because you don't have to use a token.
No, you could, yeah.
Right.
Like there's plenty of options here still. Like we can.
Right.
One of the ideas was basically to have this is not something we plan on doing anytime soon, but have some sort of like crystallized tokens. I don't know how you'd refer to them, but
that's exactly how we refer to the Met Uplift. So have fun.
Perfect.
Steal that shit all day long.
And so you have a crystallized token that is basically worth a specific NFT. And so that NFT can be exchanged as a secondary market on a secondary market. I don't know if it'll actually work, but it seems like
it's like cool. we gotta fuck with it. I mean, this is really where, right? And I think we talk about doing MVP tests all the time, and that's just something that I get super excited about because we don't know if it's gonna work, but we could try it out, and anybody who wants to hop on board and really start messing around with these things with us, like, do it. It'll be fun or it won't work, right? Like, who knows? Maybe it'll be fun anyway.
Well, and I mean, what is a banknote anyway, other than just like a real paper-based NFT? That's all it is, essentially. Right?
It's a shitty one that you can't trust,
right?
Right? Like it's like, I mean, that really, I think once people realize the sort of analogs in normal business or life function as to what NFTs are, like, oh, this is where all the value's stored.
So like, what if you have an NFT that is always like, it's a stable NFT, it's always worth $20 US?
Well, and I mean, in a way, this is the beauty of Wax, because I don't know any other chain that did this, right? Like, the Wax does allow for people to back NFTs with Wax, right? Yeah. Essentially, what you guys did with your token, that is baked into the Wax ecosystem. Not very many people use it, right? Like, I don't know of anyone who's actually using it, right? But like you can potentially do that, right? And so, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. That's
exactly what we're doing. Basically, is but no, I was just like thinking like, okay, so what if you have a stable NFT where it's always worth the same amount, and you can use that. What if you could use that somewhere? What if you could take?
So how would you? It's like the stable coins are really interesting to me. How would you maintain the value of that, right? Because if it gets onto the secondary market, like obviously, like why would you sell it for $18 and somebody could sell it for $22 because people are weird? Like I would try, right?
Yeah.
And so like how would you maintain that value over that NFT?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have to figure that out. But I think
I mean, Nick, you're like blowing our shit up for saying we should put an NFT on the opposite of a DeFi pool, and maybe he's right. But so Nick, now you're tasked with figuring out how to do stable NFTs for $20. Like that's your job now. You're welcome. Figure it out.
I think you could probably make something work with the simple asset contract. I think, but maybe not. I think you'd have to make it so that like it's really hard to trade on secondary. Maybe that's like get it blacklisted from the markets or something like that. I don't know how that would work, but
it's an interesting question. Yeah, yeah. I guess my whole thing is like the stablecoin thing. I mean, I don't own any, because I always move into Bitcoin. That said, like
you don't believe that they're stable. That's why.
Well, no, I do actually. like all you have to do, like any historical analysis of a stablecoin, you can look at them, and the vast majority of them hold their value within a single percent, right? Like I'm not gonna argue with that track record at all. That's firm. I haven't had any reason to, is really the whole thing. Like by the time I make any money at all, I'll sell it to Bitcoin or whatever. Even, last cycle was the only time I ever actually made any money. And I just pulled out like 10 grand. I was like, fucking whatever. Right. But when, this time, say Wax goes to $10, like I might be in the stablecoin market.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and so I guess one of the other big things that like I've been looking at that Wax desperately needs is some sort of like, I know we have the Wax USDT right now, and I think that that's fine, but I think we're going to eventually need like a Wax based like unique stablecoin for the platform, so that like because Wax has such low fees and has such a high like user tolerance, like we can have so many more users on it than say Bitcoin or Ethereum. It actually makes sense that like maybe someday in the future you have a EOS.io chain where you can walk into your local grocery store and just send them your transaction, and they can use that because they get it there instantly, right? Like I think
I don't understand why we're still using money. If you want an apple, buy a freaking NFT that has an apple on it and trade that for an apple. That's what we should be like.
Grocery store, until you could walk into a grocery store and be like, oh, this Apple NFT and get one, forgetting for the moment that you would have to have NFTs for everything you went in there. You need to know what that was. Like, ignore that no human other than Jimmy will ever do that. Other than that, this idea is brilliant.
No, but this is the thing. Like, fair enough. I'm 100%. Like, I do take this a little bit too far at times, but I don't see the point.
I love that ad absurdum argument, though. Just in general.
Right? Like, I don't see the point in having like a token when you can have NFTs, right? Like these representative tokens in NFTs. This makes way more sense to me because you can have. It's like owning a watch versus owning an iPhone, right? Like it's a one-use device versus like something that has multi-uses, right? Yeah, you can speculate on a token. Yeah, you can use a token to buy and sell stuff. But like, there's not cool artwork on a token, right? Like you can't back. I guess you can back a token with a token, but that's just dumb. It sounds way cooler when you're backing an NFT with a token, even though it doesn't make any difference, right?
Yeah.
Like it just makes way more sense to me to like go back. And I hate bartering. Like I hate going to countries that like barter for a living because I always get wrecked. Like I get wrecked in the crypto markets, but like when I go to Turkey and try to buy something in a market, I get completely wrecked. Like those guys are geniuses over there, right? So like China, they throw me out of the market because they're like, hey, that you insulted me. And I'm like, but I'm going to give you money. We don't want your money. That was too much of an insult. Get the hell out of here, right? Like I'm not good at bartering is what I'm saying, but like I kind of want to like create a barterland with NFTs. I think that would be really fun.
I'm not good at it, but I want it to exist to complicate everyone's lives.
Here's actually a good space that it actually could have been, or can, I guess, probably even still be used is with the graphic card shortage. What if you buy an NFT and that holds your place in line for you when you get your GPU delivered to you, and then it gets burned once you get it. So it puts you in line. You get a mint. Your mint determines where you are in line.
Right, like we do that in NFT drops literally all the time.
Exactly. Like, and I think that like once we see like some of these other like really big international players go, wait a minute, we can avoid pre-order lines and all this stuff and have something that's easily traceable, and that person can then trade it if they decide that they don't want it. So then we can
like there's
we
a
don't
resale
actually
market for that. Wait till they figure out that there's a secondary market percentage on that bad boy.
Well, and
right?
think of the supply chain.
Then it's a crime not to.
Yeah, think of the supply chain on that, right? Like if you know that, hey, we're going to release a new NVIDIA 4070 Ti or whatever this year, and we can put in like, we can go, okay, we're just going to open this up. However many people buy our NFT, that's where you are in line. And as you get them, they'll be available for a month. Figure it out, guys. And
send all your support tickets.
GameStop doing that too, right? Like, what if you could buy, instead of getting a video game, like pre-ordering a video game, you pre-order it. Now you own that as an NFT. You get benefits dropped to you for being part of that community. And if you like don't want that, thing anymore, and you like don't want to burn it in to get it, you can sell it on the secondary market. Again, you have a million of these NFTs out there that will produce revenue.
Exactly.
Right? Like we dropped 1 million Yoshi coins just to A, show that we could, and B, like, describe to bands and to music labels, what happens on this secondary market, right? And so we're showing and tracking the secondary market sales on those things. So of course we created an architecture to build value into those Yoshi coins. We created all the lifetime memberships. We're doing all these things on the back end so that the right people who want to become part of this ecosystem are buying those things up, and you get all the economics, blah blah blah, right? But like the numbers are stupid.
Yeah.
Like like on the good side. And so when we talk to a band that we're dropping July 2nd, the promo comes out July 5th. Make sure you have all your memberships down. And we're doing the digital vinyl for that. The band is really, really good. Like really, really good. I think Jimmy and I are going to have them on. Really, really great guys too. And like
Monday.
I judge music harshly. I've been a musician for a long time. You know, if you don't hear me talking about a band, it's because they're fuking terrible, right? Like, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to like blow anybody's stuff up or whatever. But like when I go silent, I'm like,
Yeah.
But these guys are really good,
That's
like
cool.
really good,
Well,
right?
like,
And so
yeah.
and now once they started, and it was their manager actually who was silent the entire time we were talking to them, and then like basically just put this grin on his face that I thought would literally almost knock me out over Zoom. Like it just has one of those smiles. It's like, you're one of the most kind people ever. And you'll sooner or later, you guys will meet him. Really, really great guy.
That's awesome.
So he basically pops up having understood the implications of the secondary market stuff. And suddenly he's like, they're talking about signing with a major label that we're also having conversations with. And like suddenly NFTs have been carved out of their contract for themselves because they could fund tours with it.
Yeah.
They could fund albums with it. And this is what I told M Blue the second he started talking to the music labels. The music labels are going to have to get into NFTs because they're going to kill Spotify, and Spotify is going to realize it.
Yep.
They don't have a choice. They're going to have to get into it. And the real problem is when bands figure out how to do this themselves, and then maybe they don't need the record labels anymore at all.
Yeah. No, that's again, that's another one of our like things is like, if you can do it independent, well, you don't need anybody else to tell you what to do.
Right. And I still think like if the labels are smart and they're not dumb, they're going to be able to provide integrated versions of this as a service, right? And like Yoshi drops, like we could become that, right?
Yeah.
Where we're basically curating, different bands, projects, or whatever, creating a brand around that, yada yada yada, right? But people will be able to come in and plug in and just play music and have fun. And I think there's going to be a lot of value for that. For those labels that figure this out.
I mean, what I've read, we're already most of the way there. Like, I don't think it could as a question. Yeah.
I think you guys are there. Yeah. No, like I was looking at, so when you guys first when you guys first did the Yoshi drops, I was like, oh, they're giving away NFTs for free. Cool. Right. I'm like, what's the max on the market like that I was like willing to pay? And I was like, somewhere between 8 and 10 wax, because I thought that was about like, I thought that was going to be like the top end. Right. So I picked up like, I don't know, like 50 of them. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And one of our main dev, he's like, oh no, I'm going to keep going. I'm still going in. I think he has like 3,500 Yoshi coins at the moment. So like, and they're worth 35 wax each or something like that. Like,
yeah, it's more now. Have you seen the common Upliftium mining rigs?
No, I have not looked at that. I should real quick.
Please don't. Nobody go and look at those because I want to save up some more wax.
Exactly. Okay. Let's not talk about the fact that like there should be a base level value that people are selling things for. And if you can find things that are below that base level value, then those are probably good times to accumulate.
Well, but like what you don't know what the base value is, right?
But what I do know is if you divide the number of things that come in a pack by the base level value, and they're cheaper than what people paid for them in a pack, then it's probably a pretty good deal. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and we'll see, right? Because maybe they're right. They're not, but maybe they are. And this is the market full on is pricing in the fact that people don't understand the pools yet, right? Yeah. Which is fine, right? We're not like we're explaining that that's what it is, but we're not going to walk people hand in hand and telling them how DeFi works. You can go figure that out for yourself, right? And people will, or they won't, and they'll sell for tiny bits of money, which again is fine because then the right people are figuring out and buying, right? And again, it's like it's funny. Like I was never planning. Anyone who's known me for a long time, the whole idea that I'm like basically a free market evangelist when it comes to the blockchain, they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Dude, it works. It's an interesting thing." Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that, but the commons are cheap, and that's probably weird.
Well, yeah. So I just checked it. I noticed that is very weird.
Right.
The other thing that I like this happened the other day with, I don't know if you saw oh my goodness, what's it called? It's the other project that Sammy's doing along with Nova Rally, the Olive.
Yeah, we're gonna
that's
have them on.
right?
We're gonna have them on Thursday, actually. So.
Yeah,
That's another thing I need like at least a tiny slice of that action because I haven't looked at it enough yet. But I love.
Well, they were the individual NFTs were selling less than what the packs were selling for. Like, you know, you get a 4-pack for I think they were like 300 wax, or you could buy the individual pieces for like 14 or something like that. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna buy all of them under 25 because,
right.
Well, and this is the thing with pools, right? Especially so. Again, Cottrell and I are messing around with this thing on Binance, and so like we're operating at like how much of a percentage do we have of the primary token and Binance, right? And we've been joking around because between Cottrell and I, it's an absurd number. When people figure out how how many commons are out there, which is a knowable number because it's blockchain. Yep. And thinking in terms of, okay, we know how much the pool is spitting out every week. And again, like all of this is subject to change. So any math you do right now, and I don't think any of the pools are going to get smaller, although they might. We reserve the right to do whatever the fuck we want. Yeah. There's a good chance that some of them will increase or whatever as we balance everything out. But like, what if you end up, like Cait has, 10% of the commons pool as an example, right? That's something that, yeah, somebody's going to when they figure it out, and it might not be tomorrow, right? Because people are waiting for crystallized uplifting, like to be able to withdraw things and be able to move that value around. That makes sense to me, right? Yeah. But selling before you understand that that's actually even going to happen just seems like ruthlessly criminal to me. Like, I'm not saying you should read the pinned messages and the fucking blog, but not doing it is expensive.
Well, yeah. And the best part about Cait having like 10% of the max of any supply is the fact that like they're a nonprofit and they distribute back to the community members who own the tokens. Like that's
just gold. It's gold.
End it there, really. Cool. I really liked meeting you, Mika. We have another meeting we need to jump into, but I would love to like have you come back every week. Like, can you just come back
legit on the regular, Micah? Because we absolutely love what you're doing. Like, it doesn't get a whole lot more win-win-win than what Cait's doing. It really doesn't.
We're trying.
So you're not trying. You're doing it. Like legitimately, you guys, in my mind, have succeeded already. It's only going to get better from here. So thank you guys for everything you're doing. Please come back soon. And let's put our thinking caps on. I want to get you and Cottrell in a room actually. Maybe like, what's the most ridiculous fucked up thing we could do together?
All right, let's do it.
Right. It'll be something. I don't know what it is yet, but it'll be good.
It'll be fun. All right, guys. Thank you.
Ciao. Okay. Thanks, Micah. Oh,
thanks, guys.
Are you chopping still?
Nah, I didn't do it. We you know what else we didn't do? We didn't do gratitudes.
Sorry, man. We don't have time. We'll do double gratitudes tomorrow.
I know. I'm okay, but this is how much you mean to us, Micah. Like, we never miss gratitudes.
It's true. Oh, man. We're too busy. So we'll have to come back. Sorry, Bob. We literally have to run. When Cait Upliftium miners? When indeed? When?
All right.